You know that friend who always says, maybe next time, and somehow next time never comes? While everyone else is chasing neon lights, they're perfectly happy with a blanket, a screen, and silence. But what if the person who never goes out is actually the one most in touch with themselves? On this channel, Ego and Me, we don't call them lazy or antisocial. We call them people whose ego finally stopped performing for the crowd and started protecting their peace. You're not dramatic for feeling drained after just hanging out. You're running on a different kind of battery. Some people are born with a giant power bank for noise, crowds, and small talk. Their energy rises with every new face, every new plan, every last-minute change. But others, maybe you, come with a smaller, more delicate battery and a much richer inner screen. For you, every conversation, every room, every notification quietly pulls a little power. By the time you get home, it's not that you hate people, your system is simply on 1%. Your body doesn't want drama, it wants a charger. Psychologists call this sensitivity of the nervous system and optimal stimulation. Some brains feel alive when the volume is high. Other brains think clearly only when the world finally shuts up. That's why a whole night out can feel like running 10 apps at once on low battery. And a quiet evening in feels like plugging yourself into the only socket that actually works. Your brain isn't broken, it's calibrated differently. It was never designed to compete with the loudest room. It was designed to notice the quiet details everyone else walks past. Outside, life feels like a browser with 50 tabs open. Every tab is a person, a noise, a decision you didn't ask to make. Music in the restaurant, messages on your phone, someone asking, "So, what do you do?" while your brain is still buffering the last question. For a sensitive nervous system, that isn't fun chaos, it's a slow, constant overload. But at home, it's one clean window with your favorite playlist. You choose the volume, the lighting, the temperature, the timing of every interaction. You decide when the kettle boils, when the lights dim, when the world is allowed to speak to you, and when it isn't. That isn't avoidance, that's emotional safety, a space where your body finally stops scanning for danger and starts relaxing for real. Think about how different you feel when you can control the small things. The lamp is exactly where you like it, the background noise is soft, the room smells familiar, and no one is bursting in with surprises. Your ego, in the Ego and Me way, isn't screaming, "Look at me," it's quietly whispering, "You're safe here. You don't have to perform." Home isn't just a place, it's a nervous system exhale. Outside, life feels like a browser with 50 tabs open. Every tab is a person, a noise, a decision you didn't ask to make. Music in the restaurant, messages on your phone, someone asking, "So, what do you do?" while your brain is still buffering the last question. For a sensitive nervous system, that isn't fun chaos, it's a slow, constant overload. But at home, it's one clean window with your favorite playlist. You choose the volume, the lighting, the temperature, the timing of every interaction. You decide when the kettle boils, when the lights dim, when the world is allowed to speak to you, and when it isn't. That isn't avoidance, that's emotional safety, a space where your body finally stops scanning for danger and starts relaxing for real. Think about how different you feel when you can control the small things. The lamp is exactly where you like it, the background noise is soft, the room smells familiar, and no one is bursting in with surprises. Your ego, in the Ego and Me way, isn't screaming, "Look at me," it's quietly whispering, "You're safe here. You don't have to perform." Home isn't just a place, it's a nervous system exhale. When you choose to stay home, you're not choosing nothing. You're choosing a whole universe that nobody else can see. Inside those quiet nights are sketchbooks, half-written notes, playlists that only make sense to you, and conversations you have with yourself that are more honest than any small talk. Your room isn't boring, it's a studio, a lab, a little cinema where your mind gets to direct the story instead of just watching it. Psychologists keep finding the same pattern. People who enjoy quality solitude tend to be more reflective, more creative, and better at solving complex problems. Because when you're alone, your brain finally has the bandwidth to replay the day, connect dots, and ask, what does this really mean for me? That's not overthinking, that's depth. The ideas that change your life rarely show up over loud music. They arrive in quiet rooms at 1 a.m. when everyone thinks you're just scrolling, but you're actually redesigning your future in your head. The world sees you saying no to plans, but what it can't see is you saying yes to writing that chapter, learning that skill, fixing that pattern, finishing that personal project no one is clapping for yet. On Ego and Me, this is the version of ego we honor. Not the ego that needs a spotlight, but the one that says, I'd rather grow in silence than perform in a room that doesn't really know me. If home is where your best thoughts finally show up, there is nothing small about that. But there's another version of staying home that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels heavy. Not like choosing a quiet night, but like being pinned to the couch by a weight no one else can see. Sometimes it isn't, I love my own company, it's, I don't know how to be around people without feeling wrong. Social anxiety doesn't always look like shaking or panic attacks. Often it's just you rehearsing every sentence in your head and still deciding to say, sorry, I'm tired, instead. Burnout can turn your living room into a recovery ward you never check out of. You're so exhausted that even replying to a text feels like climbing a hill. Trauma whispers that the world isn't safe, even when nothing bad is happening right now. Depression goes one step further and quietly asks, what's the point of leaving if it'll feel empty anyway? On the outside, it looks like you love staying in. On the inside, you feel your chest tighten at every invite, your mind fast-forwarding to every awkward moment, every possible judgment. So you cancel. Not because home fills you up, but because stepping out feels like trying to breathe underwater. And this is the line that matters. Staying home because it recharges you is peace. Staying home because the world feels unbearably loud, sharp, and suffocating is hiding. One protects your energy. The other slowly shrinks your life until your room is the only place that feels survivable. On Ego and Me, the goal isn't to shame either version. It's to help you ask, honestly, there is a point where I love staying in quietly turns into, I don't know how to get out. That's when it deserves your attention, not your shame. If you find yourself dodging every reason to leave the house, not just parties, but groceries, appointments, even stepping outside for fresh air, that's a red flag. If the answer in your head is always later and later never comes, your world may be shrinking without you noticing. Another sign, the things that once made home feel magical now feel flat. The shows, the games, the hobbies, the rituals that used to recharge you all blur into background noise. You're not resting, you're numbing. Then there's the guilt and the fear. You start calling yourself lazy, useless, broken, while your chest tightens at the thought of bumping into someone you know. Just the idea of being seen feels like too much, and your body responds as if you're walking into danger, not a cafe. When it gets to that point, staying inside stops being a choice and starts being a cage. That's when reaching out isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Talking to a therapist, counselor, or even a trusted friend can give your nervous system a map it doesn't currently have. And you don't have to jump straight from your bedroom to a festival. You start with small, gentle exits, a 5-minute walk around the block, sitting in a quiet coffee shop, meeting one safe person instead of 10 strangers. The goal isn't to turn you into an extrovert, it's to show your brain that the world has soft places too, not just sharp ones. Your home can stay your sanctuary, but your life is allowed to be bigger than your walls. The world loves to glamorize loud lives and crowded rooms. It worships the people who never say no, who are always on, always out, always posting proof that they were there. Somehow, it quietly decided that staying home means you're lazy, boring, or that you don't have a life. But there is nothing boring about someone who knows what truly nourishes them. It takes courage to say, actually, that drains me, and choose what fills you up instead. Anyone can follow the crowd. It takes self-respect to follow your own nervous system. Your quiet nights are not wasted time. They're when you process what happened, decide who you want to be, heal from what hurt you, and build the kind of life that doesn't need an audience to feel real. You're not missing out on life when you're at home. You're just living it in a way that makes sense for your wiring. So the next time someone rolls their eyes and says, "You're always at home," hear it differently. What they call no life might actually be you protecting your peace, your creativity, your focus, your sanity. Your homebody side isn't your weakness. It's the part of you that chooses depth over noise, intention over impulse. Are you the always cancels plans friend? Or do you secretly wish you were? If this video felt uncomfortably accurate, that's your sign your nervous system has been trying to tell you something for a long time. Drop a home in the comments if home is your favorite place on earth. Share this with the one person who truly understands why you never get tired of staying in. Let them know there's nothing wrong with the way they're wired. And if you want to understand the psychology of people who cut everyone off when they're overwhelmed, the next video is going to feel even more personal than this one. Click it when you're ready. You'll finally see why disappearing is almost never about hating people and almost always about protecting yourself.